Today, someone's not just being naughty, they're being sub-naughty. This is CheckPoint. Welcome to CheckPoint. They've overclocked the weather this week, and my CPU is melting.
Really? I had a heatsink installed at the genetic level.
What?
Yeah, I'm part lizard.
Huh.
I want to teach you a new recipe. I call it demoralizing cake. The first layer is Sega's Like a Dragon franchise. It's been doing great, selling over 30 million copies worldwide throughout its 20-year existence. And so we're going to make that our base layer, and then we're going to top it with some gooey filling, like this quote from Sega president Shuji Itsumi, who recently said, "Reviving Sega will be the greatest achievement in my career." Great. Now we're going to move on to another pan and make the next layer. Roblox, which made almost $1 billion in sales last year. And we're going to top that layer with IP sprinkles, courtesy of Roblox's new license manager. This is something that lets Roblox game developers, aka probably children, submit their game to official IP holders to get a blessing to use official IP, and then split the money they make. So far, Roblox has 7 IPs in the manager: Squid Game, Stranger Things, Twilight Saw, Divergent, Now You See Me, and Like a Dragon. Now, let's combine our 2 layers together. Do they taste weird to you? It's probably the flavor shift from the Like a Dragon series, which has a plot through line where Kazuma adopts and cares for a vulnerable little girl in addition to 8 other children from an orphanage, crashing into Sega partnering up with previously reported upon pedophile hellscape Roblox in order to get a cut of children's wages. Enjoy your cake!
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Paywall content. In the remaster of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, there's a fun and cool SpongeBob Easter egg in the Skater Island level, where if you go outside to the derelict pirate ship and jump off the bowsprit into the water, you're transported via the on-screen caption of "several days later" to a minimalist underwater skate park themed like Nickelodeon's long-running animated series, but only if you have the deluxe edition of the game. If you're a pleb, it's just some abandoned underwater ramps. This is not mentioned in the description for the deluxe edition, even though that does mention secret moves for the deluxe exclusive Doomslayer and Revenant characters. And it's not like SpongeBob himself is playable, so it's more just bizarre that they're paywalling a fun visual reference. But at this rate, I'll take bizarre news over more layoffs.
More layoffs at Candy Crush developer King.
Oh, dang it.
Where former staff claim they are being replaced by the same AI tools they helped to train. As part of layoffs at Microsoft earlier this month, King is preparing to cut 200 jobs, around 10% of its staff, including the entire UX and narrative copywriting teams, most of level design, and managers with few direct reports. In addition, the studio's centralized research and QA teams are being removed and folded into production teams. An internal memo explaining the cut stated that our business has not been growing and cited many more AI tools as a means to get the business back to growth. As an aside, internal messages seem to refer to staff as Candy, and I don't know about you, but if my boss called me Candy, I'd dislocate both shoulders in revulsion. According to a source speaking to mobilegamer.biz, the staff, or Candy, being laid off trained the AI tools replacing them, and that seems very smart, since QA is a great place to cut when you're literally decimating your staff and replacing them with AI, which of course famously requires no testing, oversight, or revision. It's also probably worth restating that growth is a metric that measures how many executives your business supports, not the quality of its output. Growth is something investors care about, not customers, and that's only if you're looking at this from the most cynical commercial perspective. Replacing your staff with AI tools they train to emulate but not simulate their skills is not only inhumane and dubiously functional, but at best a patch over a thermodynamic certainty. Because there is only a finite number of gamers, and eternal growth is unsustainable. It is the responsibility of leadership to chart a course through these kinds of challenges, and if you can't or won't, you're not leading, you're managing a decline. If the ultimate goal is that every human being spends every waking moment playing Candy Crush, then maybe the C-suite should start doing that, because it would be less damaging.
If you're a nerd for gaming news, like I guess we are, you'll have been following this story for a couple of weeks now. We kept putting off doing updates on it because the facts kept changing and getting more entertaining all the time, but as responsible gaming news nerds, we ought to catch normal viewers up to the heightened level of understanding that you and I enjoy. Here's a rundown of things so far. Krafton, formerly known as Bluehole Group, are publishers of PlayerUnknown's K-pop cross-promotion emporium and premium currency accumulation engine. Krafton bought Unknown Worlds Entertainment in 2021 following their successful development of Subnautica and its sequel Subnautica Below Zero. They've been working on Subnautica 2 since at least then, with the intent of releasing it into early access this calendar year, 2025. In July, Krafton suddenly fired Unknown World CEO Ted Gill and its co-founders Max McGuire and Charlie Cleveland, the latter also designer and director for the original Subnautica. In their statement, Krafton heavily implied that development had not been moving as quickly as they wanted and said that the leadership of these three executives was to blame. Then a week later, Krafton delayed Subnautica 2's early access to 2026, citing feedback from private playtests. The fired executives stated, via Charlie Cleveland, that they believed the game was ready for early access. It was then reported, according to sources within the company, that Krafton had agreed to a $250 million bonus to the development team if certain targets were hit, which included releasing early access in 2025. It was quickly suggested by the community that Krafton fired leadership and pushed back early access to avoid paying that bonus. In response, Krafton implied that the $250 million was almost totally for just these three people and that they had been derelict in their duties, while Charlie Cleveland claimed in a Subnautica community Reddit post that the bonus was for the entire 100-person dev team, his claims corroborated by sources in a Bloomberg report by Jason Schreier. It was still earmarked to mostly go to those three, with Cleveland claiming they intended to share, saying they historically always had, but that part wasn't technically codified in the agreement. Anyway, Krafton specifically claimed, quote, former leadership abandoned the responsibilities entrusted to them. In particular, following the failure of Moonbreaker, Krafton asked Charlie to devote himself to the development of Subnautica 2. However, instead of participating in the game development, he chose to focus on a personal film project. It's wild to throw strays at your own game, by the way. It feels rude to Moonbreaker, but remember that film comment for later. The next thing was the confidential document leak, a supposed milestone review from May of this year, only 2 months before the firing, showing Subnautica 2's development was significantly behind its milestones. After pressing, Krafton would confirm the legitimacy of the slides. However, the three executives have now filed a breach of contract lawsuit that alleges, among other things, that the reason for those slides was purposeful negligence and interference from Krafton in an attempt to delay early access and avoid paying that $250 million bonus. And indeed, that Unknown Worlds pushed ahead with plans to release early access, and only when left with no other option did Krafton resort to firing them, something that apparently is also explicitly not allowed by the terms of Krafton's original purchase agreement. They allege that Krafton employees told CEO Ted Gill explicitly that Krafton leadership were not focused on supporting the launch of early access, but rather figuring out how they could convince Unknown Worlds to delay it and how they could legally fire the founders. Way back in Krafton's first announcement, it was also said that Steve Papoutsis from Striking Distance Games would be taking over as CEO and leading the charge to get Subnautica 2 into early access with renewed energy and momentum. In their lawsuit, the execs allege that their termination letters also came from Papoutsis, still CEO at a different subsidiary, saying they were being fired for their intention to proceed with a premature release of Subnautica 2. So which is it, Krafton? Go fast or be good. And further, that personal film project that Krafton said was taking all of Cleveland's attention was, according to the lawsuit, a Subnautica film that Krafton wanted him to work on. What does all this mean? Who knows? That's for the courts to decide. And now that there's a lawsuit on the table, we probably won't hear any updates for a while.
Aw, man!
What, really? We're barely done recording.
Oh no, High Voltage is back in Snap.
Oh.
Coming up, Marvel's Fantastic Four have a new movie in the MCU, and data miners have leaked that Fantastic Four skins are coming to Fortnite. If you want to see what they look like, just Google Fantastic Four skin leaks.
We here at CheckPoint refuse to be above that joke.
I mean, everybody on the internet already made that joke.
Yep, it's a good joke.
As soon as that news leaked, my Blue Sky feed was just filled with people being, sorry, what's coming to Fortnite?
I'm excited for the Fantastic Foreskins. It'll be great.
Pardon? It's very funny.
So this week's the stories, Cameron wrote the
King story about the layoffs.
The King story. Oh. And what I like was that he'd written that quip about reacting with revulsion about being called candy, which also was super weird. But I think his original intent was from cringing, you cringe so much you dislocate your own shoulders. Yeah. And I love that your delivery didn't specify whose shoulders were being dislocated. And it was
I surely said that I would just both my shoulders would be
dislocated. You just said dislocate both shoulders, and I love the implication. It could be read either way, that it's the boss's shoulders.
I'd dislocate both shoulders in revulsion. I would like to think that I give off the aura of do not patronize me and call me candy.
No, exactly.
You will become dislocated in several places.
Yeah. A yet further interesting tweak potentially to that Krafton story.
Oh my God, it's still happening.
Well, just another sort of I guess funny data point is that there's Krafton was he was working on a personal film project, and he's like, they mean the Subnautica movie that they told me to work on. But he was in his personal time working on a different film project that respectfully looks like ass. It's like a AI generated slop Hallmark Christmas movie from all appearances. He proudly has look at all these possible posters that Midjourney shat out that all look functionally identical but slightly different each time. I don't know, Paul, you were looking at it. That was that was sort of the pitch, right?
A spiritual successor to Elf, I believe, is how he
right, yes, a movie about heart and soul and spirit. Why not have AI have our feelings for us? I don't. Okay, so no, everybody knows here I don't like AI, but I had a chance to see some AI summarized meeting notes.
Oh, this
somebody
was
had posted in a personal personal group chat of ours with just some other friends who don't work here. Basically, the notes was a very puff word sort of
they were written like prose.
Yeah.
It was and then this person had observations about blah, 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 blah. And to which this person replied, blah, 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 blah. And it's I would fall asleep reading these meeting notes.
I don't. That is, to me, that is not a useful format for meeting notes.
No.
What I want is a point form summary of this is what we discussed. This is what the actions are that we need to take away from it. And just a very, because to me, if I want meeting notes, I want a high level summary of just what I need to know from the meeting, not all of this crap, these time wasting puff words that, that you would be told not to put in your university essays because they're clearly padding the word count. And it's what is this for? Because this is not useful. The problem is to make useful notes, you would have to have something that could take all of this information and synthesize it and boil it down for you. And you know what that's called? It's called thinking. And an AI can't do that. So they're just burning the forests for this.
So that will now be who's designing the new levels in Candy Crush. Apparently.
So I'm sure they're going to break. And we're going to see if anybody notices.
That's a good point. I wonder who's still playing Candy Crush. I guess not enough people if line need go up. Also want to mention that Beej wrote the cake story, and that sounds like a horrifying cake.
It's bad cake.
But we did get to see that great image that Paul found of the
Sonic cake.
Must go adequate speed. Is that what it said?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, great.
But seriously, could we invent an AI to do things write good, useful meeting notes? Stop having it do the jobs that are fun and creative and rewarding for humans.
Those probably exist, but I still don't really want to use them because I would have trouble believing
that is the tool. It's not doing anything useful.
No, I mean, I'm sure someone else has made a different model that can point form it, but I still wouldn't want to use it because it might just invent stuff that wasn't said at the meeting.
Yeah.
So, Anyway, you know what was said? No, this doesn't work. You know what? Patreon.com/loading ready run.
Artisanal crap, all made by humans.
Yeah. Everything that you read today was written by human people.
And read by human people.
Yeah, and we're all really hard on ourselves. So we're glad you like it. You can also become a member on this YouTube channel, and we'll be thanking folks who are members of this YouTube channel at the end of the video. But until then, I think that'll do it for this week. So thanks, everybody, for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Nice to be human.
Enjoy your cake!